Good evening once again, and the warmest of welcomes to a new Pro Box venue, the Brighton Centre. I'm David Brenner, sitting alongside me, Jim McDonnell, and we're here tonight to see whether the Chris Eubank success story can continue. Unbeaten as a professional, and tonight defending his WBC International middleweight title against Eduardo Contreras from Argentina. But that's not all. We've got a couple of cracking fights on the undercard lined up for you. Errol McDonald, unbeaten as an amateur, unbeaten as a professional, takes on Mario Lopez from Phoenix, Arizona. And another young man seeking to establish himself in the domestic ranks, Crawford Ashley. He's lined up for a domestic light heavyweight title shot. Tonight, he seeks to continue his winning ways against Duane Muniz of Denver. Some great fights lined up, and we start with the big one. Eubank against Contreras, the WBC International Middleweight Championship. Eubank of last month. Tonight, though, Eubank making his very first appearance in Brighton. He's fought before in neighbouring Hove, but tonight gives him a chance to show his fellow townsmen exactly what he can do. Eubank, a great thinker as well as a great fighter. He won't mind keeping Contreras waiting for a moment or two. And as you'll see, when Eubank does finally emerge from his dressing room and leaps into the ring, it won't be just a normal scramble through the middle ropes. He'll be vaulting over the top rope into the ring and stalking around this ring as if he owns it. Eubank will not get into the ring until he is good and ready. And if that means keeping Contreras waiting, tough. Here comes the local boy, led by the championship belt. Chris Eubank, undefeated as a professional, 21 fights, 21 wins. Up over the top rope. There we go. That's his hallmark. Our MC, Mike Goodall, will do the honours.
Good evening. On behalf of Barry Hearn's Matchroom Promotions, may I welcome Screen Sport viewers live throughout Europe to the conference centre here at Brighton. Our sponsors this evening are Bright Light. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the main event of the evening. Your officials appointed by the WBC for this contest are the official in charge, Mr. Ray Clark, OBE, from the British Boxing Board of Control, London. The judges appointed are Mr. Fernando Paredes from Spain, Mr. Bob Logis from Belgium, and the referee this evening, Mr. Louis Michel from France. The timekeeper, Mr. Bob Edgeworth from Crawley.
3 European officials, a French referee, Spanish and Belgian judges. They all score. We're on the 10-point must system. Winner of a round gets 10 points, loser gets 9 points, or if there's been a knockdown or a very one-sided round, the loser of the round gets 8.
to decide the international middleweight
12
championship
3-minute rounds.
Between introducing in
And
this
the challenger
corner, the red
about to be
corner,
introduced.
in the green trunks with the yellow trim, the challenger from Argentina, Eduardo Contreras. And in this corner from Brighton, the WBC International Middleweight Champion, Eubank.
Quite something for Eubank tonight, Jim, fighting in front of his home crowd for the first time in his career.
He's really been looking forward to boxing in Brighton, and I think we're going to see a special vintage Eubank performance. He's really determined to defend his title and go on to the big one. And in front of his own fans, he hasn't got a better gallery to play to. Eubanks will love it.
So referee Louis Michel from France, drawing both boys together for the last minute instructions. And if you're a Pro Box regular, well, you'll know what to expect from Chris Eubank. If you're not a Pro Box regular and you haven't seen him before, if you've just got your satellite dish, watching us for the first time, well, Chris Eubank, I take it from me, is like no other pro boxer you've ever seen. Watch this.
Vintage Eubank start, a casual walk. Contreras from Argentina's a veteran professional who's been around. I'm sure he's seen it all before, but I don't know whether he's quite seen what Eubank is going to show us.
I bet he hasn't. Turned professional in 1976. He's been around for an awful long time. He's been in with some good ones. He fought a draw with Hugo Corti, whom Eubanks beat for this international middleweight title. That was in September of last year, and I don't doubt that he might have had a word with Hugo Corti about the difficulties of facing a man with as quirky a style as Chris Eubank possesses.
Hey, stop!
I think also on his record he travelled 10 rounds with Joan Roldan from Argentina, which is no mean feat, as he was a big puncher and top flight fighter.
No knockdown, just a slip. We're almost pulled to the canvas by Eubank. Chris won his last 7 contests inside the distance. And a win tonight would set up very intriguing world title possibilities, which we'll tell you about between the rounds.
Stop! 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 Look!
Louis Michel, French referee, making his presence felt. He looks like the sort of bloke you see on the front of a bottle of wine, Mr. Michel. Looks very distinguished, patrician Gallic gentleman.
Or the man who tests your wine and tells you it's vintage. Good shots from Eubank.
Contreras having to duck and dive, and also showing that he's not beyond a bit of showmanship either. Taking the mickey out of Eubank, and that could be a dangerous thing to do. Eubank goes to the wrong corner.
Little walk.
Grin from Darky Smith, who says, "Go on, Chris, settle down." Well, we're in the Argentinians' corner now. There you go. Well, they say he's had 113 fights. Some argue that includes his amateur record as well, but whichever way you look at it, 31, pro since 1976. sure has been around, but also his record suggests he hasn't got much of a punch. I can't believe, though, he's had 41 wins just on points. I'm sure he must have stopped one or two in his time, but as I'm sure you'll appreciate, records from Argentina can be a little bit dodgy. Not so Chris Eubank, though. 21 fights, 21 wins, and the rumours are flying around that if Eubank wins tonight, he'll either be matched against Mike McCallum for the WBA title, which would be a tall order, or against Julian Jackson, the former light middle world champion, for the vacant WBC crown. So this, a pretty important fight for Chris Eubank. Good right. That wobble the Argentinian, came from nowhere.
Eubanks is very, very accurate. Never throws shots unless they're going to land. That was a perfect example of his strength.
Well, he learned his early fight craft over in America. His parents went over to New York when Chris was just a youngster, having been born in Dulwich, and had his first fights over in Atlantic City, won them all on points. And in fact, qualified himself as a typist, would you believe, over in New York, as referee Louis Michel deducts a point, gives an official warning to the Argentinian challenger. Now, the judges do not have to deduct a point, but experience shows, Jim, that when a referee indicates that he's deducting a point, they generally follow suit, the judges.
That's right. Always make the man in the middle correct. Eubanks is very accurate so far with what he's thrown. He hasn't really missed with a shot.
Contreras trying to hit on the break, which is not allowed.
I'm sure Contreras is going to try and just stay in there for 4 or 5 rounds and then start unloading himself. Been around a long time. Very experienced. Trying to pace it out. Knows it's a 12-round fight. Well, I don't think Eubanks is thinking about the 12 rounds. I doubt it. When you consider that Contreras has had 5 times, literally 5 times as many fights as the champion from Brighton. Wealth of experience, but as we've said, of those 113 opponents, he ain't never met anybody like this before. Click with the right, trying the showboating. That's a dangerous game. Eubanks is punching solidly, and I think it's a matter of time before he connects with a good shot, and this guy will be in trouble. Chris is looking very sharp. Contreras was a cagey old customer. He's got nailed with 1 or 2 good shots, and he's kidded his way out of it, but it's took another 2 or 3 there. No showboating there. They stung. Eubanks is all business. Good round for the champion. Two rounds. I've given them both to Chris Eubank, Jim. Yeah, Eubanks won the opening 2 rounds clearly. Stamped his authority as a champion on the fight right from the off. And this guy's got a good chin because he's been hit with 1 or 2 good flush right hands. He's still there. Those are the shots that hurt. Contreras really something of a, well, exactly a last-minute opponent. The original challenger to Eubank's international middleweight title was to be Sanderline Williams, the man who gave Nigel Benn such a hard time in Atlantic City earlier this year. But, well, depending on which reports you read, Sanderline Williams had managerial, contractual disputes. He wasn't ranked in the top 30, which you have to be to challenge for a WBC international title. So Contreras got his chance and has travelled to Brighton to seek to make the best of it. Round 3, we're scheduled for 12. Chris Eubank, the champion, white trunks. Eduardo Contreras, the challenger, in the green and yellow. First 2 rounds to the champion. Eubanks' jab is so stiff and solid, it's like a right hand. It really is a jolting punch. You're reading my mind, Jim. Just about to say that. can almost see the expression on this guy's face. If that's the jab, what's the right hand like?
It's the first time we've ever seen anybody try to match the showboating tactics of Chris Eubank. And I can't help but feeling it could be a rather dangerous game that Contreras is playing. Because there's no doubt he's trying to take the mickey out of Eubank. That's a part of a cagey old experienced pro trying to throw the youngster out of his stride. But I think that just might inspire Eubank to even greater efforts.
What Contreras should remember is that at the end of the day, he is the challenger for this title. He's got to go and take the title from Chris Eubank. So this suits Eubank the way the fight's going at the moment.
I've got to say that Contreras in 2.5 rounds hasn't shown anything yet that would indicate any trouble in the rounds to come for Chris Eubank. And by the same token, we have to remember that Eubank is the sort of fighter who can take you out with one shot, and that's a dangerous ability to be able to do that.
Chris is like a surgeon. He takes his time, he works things out, he's a deep thinker about boxing, he plots every move before he throws it, and I can see him almost dissecting and thinking what shot's going to take this guy out. Eubank's look to be the executioner.
Depending on what your views are on Eubank, you can either call him arrogant or supremely confident. He'll tell you in conversation that he will be world champion, as, like you might say, the sun will rise tomorrow. Eubank says, I will be world champion. There is no possible question of doubt in his own mind. Very mentally positive. And he hurt Contreras there, and every time that Contreras gets stung, you can see it for yourself as you watch this contest at home. Every time he gets hurt, he just grimaces a little bit at Eubank. It's like he's doing there. Come on, you want to fight? Let's fight.
Eubank's staying very cool and very impressed with Chris tonight.
Eubank, too cagey himself to be taken in by that. Contreras saying, you don't hurt me, you don't frighten me. I can take your best shot. Question is, can he? A little bit of needle developing in this gym.
I think the guy's experience, his gamesmanship, he's trying to entice Eubank into unloading, possibly punching himself out, if anything. Maybe his friend from Argentina, who Chris won the title for, has got back to him and said, you know, make the guy throw plenty of punches, he'll go tired, as Chris did in that particular contest. At one stage, someone said he'd punch himself out, but Chris is a shrewd character, and, you know, he'll find the answer to this fella, I'm sure. And this guy, remember, he's the challenger for the title, and the things are going well for Chris Eubank, so I don't think it's going to upset him.
I was going to say, I still haven't given Contreras a round yet.
No, you can't possibly have given him a round, because he hasn't thrown nothing positive to worry Chris Eubank so far. Well, he's not going to make no friends in Brighton either.
He might find the true meaning of Brighton rock.
An interesting note, Dave, in the audience tonight is a guy who we call the guru. His name is Walter, he's from the United States of America, and Chris Eubank absolutely believes in this guy totally. He's into martial arts and things, and he's got a lot to do with Chris Eubank. And that's one of the reasons I think you're seeing such a fired up Chris Eubank. He really wants to impress his friend, Walter.
Contreras forgets his gum shield, which doesn't say much for snappy corner work. And it's quite clear that he is trying to just unnerve, rattle Eubank just a little bit. Saying to Eubank, well, two can play at this game, buddy. And catches the champion.
That's the best I've seen so far. And you've tested Chris Eubank's chin there, and Chris answered a few questions there. He didn't budge. That was a sharp combination. Chris needs to be red alert. This guy's a dangerous campaigner. This is good experience for Chris Eubank. Tremendous experience. Not to get frustrated, stay cool.
At times it's almost like Eubank having to fight a mirror image of himself. And the challenger opening up a little bit in this round now. Best round Contreras has had.
This is the nearest I've seen to chest with muscles. You can almost see both guys working out what moves they're going to catch one another with.
Contreras pays the penalty for his showboating, trapped in Eubank's own corner. And a lot of shots are missing, but 1 or 2 are getting home. Contreras, brave, but playing such a dangerous game. And I think referee Louis Michel a bit bemused and bedazzled by it all as well.
That's very early in the fight, but even if the fight went 12 rounds like this and Chris retained his title, it wouldn't be a terrible thing long term. And the experience of the game would be second to none.
Well, if we're talking about him in his next outing, challenging either Mike McCallum or Julian Jackson for a world title, I mean, these guys are top-class international fighters, and with all due respect to Contreras, he's perhaps not in their class, but he'll teach Eubank what it is like at good world level. I must say, if Eubank does come through this, I'd like to see him have a shot at a world-ranked opponent, someone in the top 10, before challenging for a world title. But with world title shots, you've really got to take the chance when it comes along. End of the round, and a bit around that for Contreras, Jim.
Contreras is getting a little bit ambitious. He caught Chris with a short combination of shots. It was a left jab followed by a short left hook and a big right hand behind that. It maybe made Chris realise that he's got to keep his concentration, and that's the lesson that I was indicating he needs to learn. If this fight goes 12 rounds, Chris must concentrate for 12 rounds, because at world level that is a must, and Eubank has impressed me so far with his concentration.
I was going to say, against the likes of Mike McCallum or Julian Jackson, any lapses of concentration that allows yourself to take shots like that, that's a kind of knockout situation.
That's what we're talking about with the experience that Chris is gaining right now. He's going through the process of getting nailed when he's well in control, realising he's got to stay in the fight mentally and not get so on top of his ability that he forgets that the other guy's in the fight as well.
And Darky Smith just having a little G up as we go into round 5. No doubting that Eubank is ahead. Now he's got to stay ahead.
I don't think I'll be wrong, but I think Contreras, as the fight rolls along, will get more ambitious, and we could see Eubanks extended a little bit tonight and possibly see the best of Chris if he really has to pull it out and open up. It'd be interesting to see. We know Eubanks has got the talent, but he's got to put it on show. The guy's cut.
Left eye, Contreras cut. That was done by a punch. There's been no clash of heads in this round.
Eubanks won't let him off the hook.
Contreras in his own corner.
Chris just picking his shots, nice and cool.
And the cut is not in a good place. It looks to be a vertical cut on the eyebrow, right in the corner of the eye.
All blocks on the gloves by Eubanks. Good defensive work as Contreras come back with a few.
Cut on the left eyebrow. And as I say, that was done by a punch. It was not there, that cut, at the end of the last round. There have been no clashes of heads in this round. So it's one of the Eubanks punches that have unzipped that cut. Not too bad at the moment, thankfully, from Contreras' viewpoint.
I'm sure Eubanks won't help it. He'll be looking to land on that. That jab's beautiful. Contreras, you've got to take your hat off to him. He's been hit by 1 or 2 good shots, been stung by the jab, still staying cool, still looking to draw Eubanks onto something. I don't know what, but Chris must be on his toes at all times.
Well, the tactics have been quite sound if they were designed to draw Eubank's sting. It's open to question whether they've worked or not. And all you've got to do is look at Contreras' left eyebrow and look at the blood and draw your own conclusions. Now, there was a little clash of heads there, and I don't think that could have done the eyebrow too much good. Contreras trying to right uppercut, too short, misses.
Chris is very physically strong for the middleweight division. He's a big middleweight, solid from head to toe. And his power shows when they get close and short, jolting little uppercuts.
Well, he's had a few fights at the super middle limit of 12 stone, and the fact that he can make middleweight shows he must be a very strong man. Doesn't seem to weaken them, as Contreras is caught right above our commentary point, almost comes through the ropes, but battles back.
Chris is executing his punches superbly.
This is Eubank's best round of the fight so far. Emphatically Eubank's round. And the Argentinian's corner having to work feverishly now to repair that damage to the challenger's left eyebrow. We're in Eubank's corner, the champion absolutely unmarked. And I would think Darky Smith will be a lot happier with his performance in that 5th round.
I know Eubank is trained by Ronnie Davis from Brighton, and he's an unusual character because he likes to go about things his own way, and you've got Darky and Ronnie both speaking to him up there, and Chris just listens to what he wants to listen to and gets on with it. But Eubanks is a real student of boxing. He's very educating to talk to for young fighters in the gym and fighters coming through. And
he sounds to be an extremely nice guy.
He's a great character, Chris. Terrific fellow. He's probably telling the trainers what he should be doing.
Round 6, scheduled for 12. The Argentinian's corner seemed to have done a pretty good job on that cut left eyebrow. As I said, it was a vertical cut right on the left eyebrow, on the corner of the eye. But the corner seemed to have done a pretty good repair job so far. That cut caused in the opening moments of the last round, round 5, and caused by one of Eubank's punches. Definitely not by a clash of heads. And the left jab continues to snake out and find its target on Contreras' face. And a good right uppercut. That came from absolutely nowhere.
Once Eubanks finds his range like he has done there, he is a world-class fighter.
That right uppercut came in with the venom of a striking cobra.
For my money, that's Chris Eubanks' lethal weapon, his right uppercut. Throws it beautifully.
And for the first time really in this bout, you can see almost the early confidence that Contreras displayed just starting to slip away a little bit, Jim.
Yeah, he's been nailed by 1 or 2 good shots now, and that right uppercut in particular was a stern reminder that he's in there with a very, very good champion.
And as you rightly say, survival is one part of the game, but in a world title bout like this, you've got to go out and win a world title. Nobody's going to hand it to you on a plate. That's what Johnny Nelson found against Carlos de Leon. And albeit only the international version of the title, Eubank a pretty useful champion.
I'm sure Chris's fans in Brighton have been impressed with what they've seen so far. But this is a cagey campaigner, and Chris is really doing a smart wearing down process, getting to him slowly but surely.
Once again, Contreras allows himself to be pinned on the ropes and pays the penalty. The right causes him to wobble, and the challenger in desperate straits now, forced to hold, and nods in acknowledgement. The cut is open again on the left eyebrow. Now is Eubank going to finish it in this 6th round?
He's really trying to end it. He'd love to finish it inside the distance.
Little grin on Eubank's face now.
He knows he's the man. Totally in command. Defending his title with the arrogance of a champion.
Another good round for the champion. And Contreras just a little bit tired as he slumps down onto his stool. He's got Brendan Ingle in the green shirt in his corner. Useful man to have on your side. The champion's corner by contrast. Very calm at the moment. Darky Smith. And with the bottle of water, that was Ronnie Davis in the background. Let's take a look again, Jim, at Contreras taking that right uppercut. What a good shot that was.
That was beautiful. Executed perfectly, right through the centre of his guard.
And this was the moment, the right uppercut again, and that literally was so nearly Contreras' downfall.
Yeah, Eubank really throws that uppercut second to none.
He gets such leverage on it.
Superb shot. He's also whacked Contreras around the body on numerous occasions and took quite a bit of sting out of the guy's playing tactics.
Well, let's not forget that against Hugo Corti to win the title, Chris Eubank took 8 rounds. If you were watching, you might remember we had the most extraordinary round with 3 changes of glove. Gloves were splitting left, right and centre, and eventually Eubank won in round 8. I wonder if he's going to go 1 round quicker this time. Nearly had his man down and out in the last, no doubt about that at all.
I think Contreras is going to have to try and land with something decent, shake Eubanks up a little bit, because Chris is rolling now and he's looking to end the contest. If Contreras can't stop him in these tracks, he's going to be steamrollered.
Contreras had one little flurry in the 4th where he caught Eubank with a good, solid left-right combination. Didn't hurt the champion at all, and that's given him a great deal of confidence just to walk through the challenger's punches to land his own bombs.
Eubanks has made him pay for that. He's come back with some good, solid shots.
And it's very significant that Contreras has stopped all the showboating now.
Those them body shots I was talking about.
And Eubank throws his shots from such a bewildering variety of angles, almost impossible to defend against. Fast hands.
Fast hands, he gets plenty of leverage into the shots as well. There's a lot of sting and power in them. The Argentinian's corner's trying to spur him on, but really he's really up against it now, because this is Eubanks at his spiteful best.
Well, all really the challenger's got is a left jab, and Eubank's just walking through it. And the left jab, no real spark to it at all. It's a weary punch at the moment. It's being delivered from the elbow, no power. It's just a weapon to try and keep Eubank at bay. And I don't think it's going to work, not for too long at any rate.
The guy's really feeling the pace now. He's took 1 or 2 stinging body shots, and Eubanks knows it. He's just creeping up on him. He's going to look to land the bingo. Eubanks is smart defensively as well. You notice he takes them left hooks on the cocked right hand. He doesn't take no body shots. Smart fighter.
Contreras trying to come back with a couple of his own shots though, but no effect. And you can't help but get the feeling at this stage of the fight, Jim, that Eubank is just looking for that one little opening to land the knockout shot.
Oh, he is. He's looking to take the guy out. There's no doubt about it.
And he started that final assault maybe just a little too late, because when he wades in, Contreras does look awfully shaky.
You know, Contreras is, as far as I'm concerned, points-wise, already out of the race, because Eubanks has literally won every round.
Well, I've given Contreras a share of 1 round, the 4th, but as for all the others, as for the other 5, the other 6, I should say, completed rounds, every one of them on my scorecard has gone to this man, Chris Eubank, the defending champion.
So the situation is arising that Chris is going through a stage now of just keeping his concentration, not doing nothing silly. He'll either coast home to a points win, but knowing Eubanks, he'll be looking and thinking of winning inside distance.
And you can see those flashing right uppercuts that Chris Eubank throws. And if you're a student of boxing science, when Eubank is unloading the big punches, you look at how solidly he plants his feet and the leverage he gets on those punches, especially that right uppercut and the left hook he throws as well. There's an enormous amount of power in those shots. The weight of his whole body is behind them. Round 8, we're scheduled for 12. The champion, Chris Eubank of Brighton, in his home ring in white, and Eduardo Contreras, the challenger from Argentina, in the green and yellow.
just on behalf of Contreras, you've got to say that he's come in here and really tried his best. You're only allowed to do what you're allowed to do, but he's took plenty of good shots and he's still trying here in the 8th round.
Here goes Eubank again. And how many of these flurries can Contreras survive? Looking so apprehensive now, the challenger. Has very little left. And I think Louis Michel could quite justifiably call a halt to this.
Contreras has taken 1 or 2 solid shots now.
He's taking real punishment now, the Argentinian.
Eubank is going for the finish.
And I think Louis Michel really could justifiably call a halt, because there's no way in a million years the Argentinian's going to win this. And Eubank is looking to do a job on him now. Eubank implacable.
He's still the coolest man in the hall.
The crowd getting behind him. But Eubank is not going to do anything silly. He's so far ahead now. He's just waiting for the chance, unloading these big, hurtful clusters onto the Argentinian. But at the moment, he's opening him up like a can of beans.
It's the accuracy of Eubank's punching that's have impressed me. So accurate.
Sounded good, but Contreras took it on the glove. And once again, a late flurry and a little tap of acknowledgement from Contreras. But that was another very emphatic round for the champion, Chris Eubank. And I said in the middle of that round, Jim, that I think the French referee, Louis Michel, could quite justifiably say, well, that's enough. Because I can't see any way that Contreras can win this contest.
That's correct, Dave, especially considering where the fight is going. You know, Eubanks is well in front, and the guy's shipping unnecessary punishment, really. He doesn't look like he's fighting to win, he's fighting to survive. On Eubanks' part, it's a chance to display his skills, and he showed every punch in the book.
They've had 8 rounds. I've certainly given Eubank 7. To be charitable, you could have given Eduardo Contreras a share of round 4. If you want to be hard, you could say that Eubank has won each of the completed 8 rounds so far. And Contreras, as we'll see as he emerges from his corner, is a tired man now.
Eubanks has switched the pressure on again now. Chris boxes in spurts. He picks it up, brings it down to suit himself.
Let's not forget that if Contreras' record really is accurate, and he really has had 113 fights, well, the toll of that century is starting to become very apparent. He's a tired man. The spring has gone from his step. There is no power whatsoever in those punches now. The left jab just being flicked out from the elbow, the right almost non-existent. And as Jim so rightly said, from Contreras' viewpoint, the name of the game is just survival.
I think one really sustained attack from Chris Eubanks could possibly end the contest.
And this could be it. Bewildering speed.
He's ducking and diving with a lot of them shots. He's a cagey old boy. You know, Chris is a very, very accurate puncher, but even Chris was made to miss that time by Contreras slipping and sliding. All he is doing is looking to miss shots and not really counting with any of his own. I spoke too soon, Dave. You've got an over 1-2 there, Chris.
And a 3-4-5-6. Now, will that do more than just sting his dignity? That's what I mean, Jim, about I fear for him against the likes of Julian Jackson and Mike McCallum, if those are indeed lined up as his next opponents, because if they catch you, they hurt you.
It's what I'm saying about concentration. Now, Chris was so far on top there, all of a sudden the guys just let a few go. Chris got caught more through the element of surprise than the quality of the shots. He was just like so on top, he's forgot about defence, and he's got nailed with a cluster of combinations, and it's made him realise that the guy's throwing punches as well now. So Eubanks has got to step it up just a little bit. Keep on top of this fella. Again, fair play to Contreras, because he was taking a bit of a licking and he's trying to come back with some good shots of his own.
Well, if it comes to pass that we're scheduled for the 12-round trip, well, from an international viewpoint and from an experience viewpoint, it will do Chris Eubank absolutely no harm at all.
That's just definite, you know, absolutely definite. Also, you've got to remember, it is a title fight. The guy is very experienced, and from Chris's point of view, you know, you can't get in the water and not get wet.
Another good jolting right hand from Eubank, and another. Is this the flurry that will end it? It will have to be quick. We're inside the last 20 of round 9. And once again, Contreras desperately forced to hold. Survival's the name of the game now in the closing seconds of this round. Inside the last 10. There's the bell.
Chris is trying desperately to finish it. He's obviously in the back of his mind, he doesn't want to punch himself out. That's experience from his last fight. So he's not being stupid and throwing caution to the wind. He'd obviously like to take the guy, but he's not prepared to gamble and just completely let go. But I'm sure if he did, that he would get the guy out of there.
Darky Smith and Ronnie Davis just keeping things cool in the champion's corner. Whereas in the challenger, Brendan Ingle there in the green shirt doing a pretty good job on the cut over the, or on the left eyebrow, that vertical slash that Eduardo Contreras sustained in round 5. There goes Eubank again.
You know, credit to Chris and to his trainer, Ronnie Davis. His combinations tonight have really been second to none. Superb. Eubank to take that as an invitation to unload.
Right hand got Contreras again. Now, is Eubank really going to move up one more notch and finish? Contreras, tired though he is, a little bit of showboating again. Eubank goes to work to the body.
Contreras has been nailed by some solid shots, but when he's hurt, he's dangerous. He's had a lot of them shots, you know, Dave, on the gloves, or he's just like a slight turn of the shoulder and the head, and he seems to ride a lot of them. Not actually taking him flush bang on, because Chris is a powerful puncher, and if he did get through a solid one, I'm sure the guy'd know all about it. He's learnt his trade, this fella, there's no doubt about that.
The crowd, once again, trying to lift the local boy, inspire him to a stoppage victory. Maybe that mentally Eubank has already settled for a points win, Jim.
Well, he was probably thinking in his mind he'd love to pull it off inside the distance, but subconsciously he might be thinking, you know, I've hit the guy with my best shots and he's still there. So, points win's a win. Inside the distance is a bonus. Eubanks is professional enough to know that any win's good. Beautiful the way Chris Eubanks plants his feet and really gets leverage into them shots. He's a well-coached, well-schooled fighter, and you can see that his American work hasn't done him no harm at all.
He's not throwing quite as many of the body shots as he did earlier in the fight, Eubank, and they definitely slowed Contreras down.
Eubanks has put a lot of work into his fight as well. He's probably feeling the pace himself.
Another good right. When those right hands get through, Contreras wobbles to his credit, he has not been down yet. They must have termed the phrase granite-jawed, especially for this man. This is a tough.
This is the best thing that could ever happen to Chris Eubank. This has done him a power of good. He might not realise that right now. He wants to win and everything else, and he will win. But to go the rounds like this at this stage of his career against a durable guy like this is fantastic. Just before he boxes for the world title.
Referee Louis Michel says don't hit with the inside of the glove. The Argentinian corner says something extremely uncomplimentary in Argentinian. The bell goes to the end of round 10. And you've got to say, like so many of the other rounds we've already seen, Jim, another one for the champion.
Definitely. Chris has really impressed me tonight. I've watched Chris in most of his contests, and the progression tonight he's shown. You might not realise what a great performance this has been. He's been very accurate. He's boxed a durable guy. He's done 10 rounds so far, 2 to go, and it's that type of experience. You've got to have it in your mind psychologically that you've done 12 rounds when you go for a championship fight. And if Chris goes another 2 rounds, it won't be a terrible thing.
Well, he's already in unknown territory. He's never been this far in a fight in his pro career. And as you say, Jim, psychologically it can do no harm before.
You know, it really is the best thing that could happen to him. Chris will feel in 2 or 3 days' time, you know, I can do 12 rounds, and carrying that into a world title fight, I can't tell you what it means.
Well, this is round 11, and Eubank really so far ahead that Contreras would need Concord to catch him up at the moment.
Even then he'd need a twin engine.
As the old saying goes, he needs to knock him out to get a draw.
I'm sure Eubanks will still try and end it. He's from that sort of pedigree.
Well, look, obviously, in first time on his home turf, Brighton boy, Brighton ring, Brighton fans. But
he's in trouble now, the guy. He's been nailed with the right hand, the big left hook.
And forced to cover up. Now is this the big finish?
And try and spoil his way through it, Contreras.
Contreras complaining to Louis Michel, who's been hit round the back of the head.
Eubanks just shoves him off.
The referee having none of it. And once again, the glint of victory in Chris Eubank's eyes. But Contreras still there. Brendan Ingle done a great job on that cut.
This guy keeps shaking his head and as if he's shaking out the dizziness as he gets nailed, but now Eubank's obviously feeling the pace. He's put some real big shots in. The guy's still there. You know, if you hit the bag for 12 rounds, it'll tire you. And Eubanks has really unloaded on this fella tonight. Again, I've got to say, Contreras is from the old school. He's hardened old pro. Seen it all before.
Must be a bit frustrating for Eubank because he's hit Contreras with every punch in the coaching manual and he's still there.
Absolutely. You know, and Chris is just taking a semi-breather here himself because he knows there's still 1 round to go after this one.
And that left hook to the body is such a hurtful punch.
Quality shots. This fella's been around and it shows. He blocked the left hook on the glove there and pulled away from the right hand, all in one move.
Well, he has been in with some good fighters, as Jim pointed out earlier. One Domingo Roldan he's fought, and we know that Roldan gave Marvin Hagler a tough time. But when you think that Argentina has produced the likes of Roldan, Carlos Monzon, for my money one of the best middleweights ever, they're a bunch of tough people, these Argentinian middleweights.
You know, Chris is looking for something which is called, in Chris's language, a buzz. And although he probably won't buzz with his performance when he ends the contest, when he looks at it in the light of day in a few days' time, he should start buzzing because this is the kind of performance he needs just before a world title fight. 12 rounds of intense concentration against a real durable guy defending his title, and he's defended it like a true champion. He's won every round so far. You can't do no better than that.
Well, like we said, Chris Eubank is so far ahead that he could almost afford to sit in his corner, have a cup of tea, and let Contreras win the last round, and it would make no difference at all to the scoring.
If you know Eubanks and his temperament, he'd be looking for the grandstand finish and standing ovation. No need for nothing silly now. He can just box his way sensibly through the 3 minutes. 12 rounds under his belt, and retain his title and go on to bigger and better things.
Well, my heart goes out to Eduardo Contreras. He's come here to survive. He's done that, and he has taken some brutal shots, but he's still there. Can he last another 3 minutes?
I think he's going to have to try, because Eubanks is going to go for it.
Eubank started strong and started quick. Awesome combination.
You'll see the best of Eubanks now, because he knows there ain't another round like this one. He's just going to let him go.
Chasing the challenge around the ring now. Contreras holds, weary man. Eubank unmarked and still looking fresh.
Getting through.
Contreras on the ropes right above us, somehow dances his way off.
You know, he took it all for 11 rounds, and he's thinking professional pride's going to enable me to finish on my feet against Chris Eubank. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is a blessing in disguise for Chris before he goes for the big one. And I'm sure his friends sitting in the audience water will tell him that afterwards. That'll do for Chrissy Eubanks.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, after 7 straight stoppage wins, there could be almost a sense of failure that you haven't managed to stop your man this time round.
Good body work there from Chris. Worked it round the body and switched it upstairs. Fair play to Contreras. He stayed there and took some big whacks throughout the 12 rounds, and he's still there at the end, not winning nothing. So they ain't won no friends in Brighton, but I bet he's won the respect of everybody sitting here tonight. Another 2 big shots.
Oh, what a good shot. Is this going to be the finish? Eubank pouring it on. Contreras hangs on to him like a long-lost brother. So far this fight, it's been the right uppercut that's been causing all the damage, but that was a brutal left hook.
Quality combinations, Eubanks, even when he's going all out. Nothing's wild, it's all controlled, all within himself. Perfectly placed punches. That's that touch of class.
I tell you this, Jim, there are a few fighters in the world who could have stood up to this sort of assault tonight.
No way. They breed them tough in Argentina, that's for sure. Well done, Chrissy Eubanks. That'll do him a world of good. That's education for you tonight.
A few scattered boos from the crowd. I'm sure they'd have loved to have seen Chris Eubank win inside the distance, but the points margin will be huge.
Quality performance from Eubanks, don't worry about that. That's exactly what he needed before he goes for the World Championship.
Quick towel down from Darky Smith. We'll be getting a word with Chris in just a moment, right after we've got the official scoring from our MC tonight, Mike Goodall. Louis Michel, the referee, getting the judging slips, passing them on to the scrutineer, Ray Clark, the former secretary of the British Boxing Board of Control. But the result, surely an absolute formality. Can be no doubt at all who's won this.
I'm just pleased that Chris has won a defended his title and he's got the education that I feel will take him on to win the World Championship.
The scorecards being gone over. Were this a close fight, anxious moments for both fighters, but Eubank must know in his heart of hearts that he's won And the same applies to Contreras, only in his case, he can be under no illusion that the only result for him will be defeat. The photographers gathered over the far side of the ring from us, ready to take the pictures that you'll see in your morning papers as Louis Michel raises Chris Eubank's arm in victory. So, Mike Goodall has got the result, and he's now going to let us into the secret.
Well done, Chris.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a unanimous decision. Referee Louis Michel scores the contest 120-109.
That was exactly what I made up.
Logis scores 120-109. Fernando Paredes scores 120-112. The undefeated international middleweight
Spanish referee scored a couple of rounds even, but Chris Eubank wins every round on all three scorecards. Now, ringside reporter Nick Halling has scrambled into the ring, and he's going to try and grab Chris Eubank.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're appreciated.
Now, let's hear from the man who is still champion, Chris Eubank.
Chris Eubank, many congratulations. You said before the fight that you were prepared for a hard fight. Was it a hard fight for you?
Yes, it was hard because all the rounds you ever go in the ring is tiring and it's very hard. My problem with this opponent tonight was the fact that he was just slippery. He had nothing else. I know it's a very bad performance in that I didn't stop him, but that was due to the opponent.
Are you frustrated at all that you weren't able to finish him in front of your own hometown fans?
Do I look frustrated?
No, you don't look frustrated.
I'm not frustrated. That's life.
But you are a perfectionist. How would you rate your own performance tonight?
It's a negative performance. I won, so it makes it positive. I will go on and still be positive. I'm still undefeated in 22 fights. I'm still the man to watch.
And of course there's a lot of talk now that you'll be lined up for a world title shot against either Mike McCallum or Julian Jackson.
I'm sure they are not as slippery as this opponent was. I know they are not. I've studied them. I never saw this opponent beforehand. If I would have known he was so slippery, I wouldn't have tried to box so hard in the first 3 or 4 rounds. I would have taken it easy like I did from the 4th round onwards.
Okay, Chris, well, many congratulations on your win. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly. Nice one.
So, Chris Eubank, whom will never let one word do when a paragraph will suffice. And now, 22 fights, 22 wins. He gets his championship belt, the belt that he brought into the ring. And I don't doubt that when the world title shot comes along, he'll acquit himself well. We'll take a short break, then we'll be